Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's much better, thank you. We are so glad that y'all are here. Thank you for coming and supporting the arts. We want to warn you that we have another visitor here. There's a beautiful little bluebird that got in the building. So if we're just kind of quiet, maybe he'll go out the front door. But we've been trying to help him find the doorway, and he keeps going higher and higher to the windows up high and running into them. So hopefully the little bluebird will find his way out. But if you see him coming by, you might cover your head with your program. You will see in the back of the program that you have, there's an evaluation form. And there's a reason for that. This is a reader's theater, which means it's a play that is in process. And we want evaluations because hopefully soon we'll be able to make it into a full production. So we want your honest opinions, what's constructive criticism, and what you loved so much that you think it should be, forever.
And please put constructive criticism in this bag.
But it's really important for everybody to fill one out, if you will. And you could just bring them here to my roll later, and you could just stack them up there. You don't have to sign them. But definitely say what you love the most, and say, that character might need to be fleshed out a little bit. Or that dialogue went on too long. Or, gosh, I loved this song. Whatever, however you feel about everything, please give us the feedback. I want to introduce the writer. This is Fred. Most of you know Fred. And Fred, you want to tell them about the book?
Yes, over there. After the show, we have the book that this play is based on for sale. They make good stocking stuffers. And actually, the reason you're here is so we can sell this book. So that's the real reason. Not really. And you should know it's very different from the play. It is different. We tried to stick more closely to the historical record in here. Although it's still, you'll see similarities. But anyway, they're available. No pressure, no pressure. My daughter over there will take your money, and if you want it autographed, what's that called?
Autographed.
Signature.
If you want me to sign it or to somebody, just write on a pad over there, okay?
And that'll make it much more valuable, by the way, with his signature on it. Because once he's this famous playwright, once we produce the show, it could really be worth something. Okay, and the composer of all the songs is our friend over here, Mike Moose. And Mike and Fred have known each other for a while, and Mike has done a wonderful job with interpreting some of his words into music. It's wonderful. I want to mention Derek Long, who's the producer of the show. We couldn't have done it without him. He is currently at Comma doing his show over there. So he's been to a rehearsal, but he hasn't been able to see this show. So we have to make sure we get it on so he can see it in person.
Let's applaud him and send you.
Thank you, Derek Long. Also, thanks to the Arts Council and Deb Jones. Thank you so much for letting us have this beautiful space. Make sure you take a minute and wander around and look at all the beauty around you, because it's great to support the arts in lots of ways. Also want to thank First Baptist Church and the beautiful handbell ringers we have over here. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see in just a second what they add a lot. Also, if you have a cell phone, please turn it off. You can put it on silent, but we're only going to be here an hour and 15, an hour and 30 minutes. Just turn it off. You don't need it. And if you happen to need the facilities, there's a one-holer back here in this closet. Don't go through this way, go around that way, because the cast is going to be using this space here. So if you need a bathroom, just use it. Also, we have a sing-along at the end of the show, and that's also in your program. So feel free to sing out with gusto. Okay, your turn, sir.
Tell them did you tell them, and I missed it, what this is, the reading. It's different from the full production, so you have to use your imaginations. Please use your imaginations. We have two people, the narrator and our scene creator will tell you what you're supposed to be imagining then we leave it up to your imagination.
That's right. One way we got most of these people into the cast is we told them they didn't have to memorize anything. They could just, it's a reader's theater, but they come up and done a lot of acting with the reading side. And we have 3 little girls, and they've, of course, memorized theirs because their brains are still young. So a reader's theater is just that. They're going to read the story, read their parts, and you'll get the gist of it, but I'm sure you will be able to envision the set and the costumes and all of that wonderful stuff that we'll add maybe next year. Who knows? Thank you very much.
A few more things about your program. You will see more thanks. We've already thanked, but the thanks that we have given Thanksgiving season. And then your cast and crew, all about them, this wonderful crew, cast, and crew. And then if you want to follow along with the words to the songs, that's there too. And then Marny also mentioned the Good King Wenceslas is here at the end if you want to sing along. And then the most important part is attached to it. If you don't have one of those, let us know your feedback for us, okay? Without further ado, once upon a footstep.
Our story takes place a long time ago in a land called Bohemia. It centers on the tale of a kindly storyteller who regularly can be found in the market square in the great city of Prague. Today is the day after Christmas Day and the 12-day celebration of our Savior's birth. Now, children often gather around to hear the storyteller's stories. The story he tells, as he often does, is about a good king called Václav. Now, the English translation of the king's name is Wenceslas, but we're going to call him by his native name of Václav.
Curtains open with the storyteller in a busy market. It is Christmas Day, and children are gathered around the storyteller, and he is in the middle of telling his tale. The dark figure of a soldier lingers in the shadows, just out of sight, as does another figure in a hooded cape on the other side of the market.
The darkness of the woodland seemed to be stalking the young man. Wind lashed out, sounding like wild beasts howling through the forest. The chill of the night seemed to bite at him. He imagined hungry wolves following, watching from the trees, waiting for their moment to lunge forth. The young fellow cried out,
"Hey, you there, old fool! Telling your silly stories again, old man? Don't believe a word of them. And as for you, old-timer, you'd better be gone by the time I get back. We don't need you filling these kids' heads with your lies."
The soldier pushes him, and the storyteller falls backwards into an apple cart, knocking over all the apples and landing clumsily on the ground. The mean soldier laughs and leaves. As he does, he picks up an apple, rubs it against his coat, spits on the ground, and turns back to eye the man and the children, pointing a finger at them menacingly as he exits.
silly stories, filling our heads with silly, silly stories. Forget what you have heard, don't believe a word of the silly, 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 silly stories. Silly, 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 silly stories, filling our heads with silly, silly stories. Forget what you have heard, don't believe a word of the silly, 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 silly stories. Why is that soldier so mean to you, sire?
He serves the new king, and he knows that I'm loyal to the king before this one.
The one in your story?
Yes, the very same.
Why do you not like this king?
Because this king is a bad person. He's a murderer.
The storyteller puts his finger to his lips to quiet the children.
I must leave for now. Let us meet here tomorrow at the same time. I will finish my tale then. Goodbye for now, young friends.
Goodbye. Silly, 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 silly soldier, pointing his finger. Silly, silly soldier, forget what you have heard. Don't believe a word of the silly, 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 silly soldier. Silly, 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 silly soldier, pointing his finger, eating his stolen apple. Silly, silly soldier, forget what you have heard. Don't believe a word of the silly, 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 silly soldier.
Act 2, Scene 2. A few months earlier, in a dark room in a castle.
Now, there is something that you all should know. King Václav, as a young ruler, was caught between two strong women in his life. His paternal grandmother, Ludmilla of Bohemia, was a kindly lady with a deep Christian faith. She taught the king the teachings of Christ and helped him grow in his faith and to become committed to the Holy Church. His mother, though, Dracomira, on the other hand, was the daughter of a pagan tribal chieftain, a scheming woman who followed the old pagan rituals. She resented Ludmilla and wanted to install the king's wicked brother on the throne so that she could have more influence. Dracomira has been banished for years and does not know that the king now has a daughter. One dark All Hallows Eve, Dracomira has invited Ludmilla to her castle with ill will and diabolical intent.
Hello, my dear mother-in-law. Thank you for coming. Welcome.
I couldn't wait to come. I've been praying for you to have a change of heart, for you to find the faith that has given me such joy, and for us to be reconciled as a family.
Alas, the miraculous conversion was only a ruse to get you here.
But I had so hoped. This lifted my heart.
Oh well, in every life some rain must fall, even for goody two-shoe Christians.
If not for that, then why am I here? What do you want with me?
We need to have a talk. I needed to let you know at long last how thoroughly you have ruined my life by turning the king, my own son, against me and his younger brother. I will not waste words. Why have you insisted on turning my son against me and telling him your Christian fairy tales?
But I didn't. Our faith was what made you turn from us. You couldn't abide our beliefs and curse us both to our faces.
Liar! Well, it is true, I cannot abide your Christian influences, overturning everything my ancestors have held for centuries. But you definitely have made my son despise me. You and your new religious of silly, insipid rules, its cruel rejection of multiple gods for one vindictive God that divides, rejects, and demands ultimate fealty. Yours is an anemic faith with its emphasis on unearned equality, instead of our realistic recognition of entitlement for those willing to demand it. You teach the meek shall inherit the earth. The blasphemy, The strong will prevail, and the meek will be crushed. Thus it has always been, and our teachings recognize it and capitalize on it. We learn to manipulate the power in all things to create power over all things.
No, Dracomira. Ours is a religion of love and inclusion.
Don't make me laugh. You mock our rituals and separate us from our own kin. Your own so-called Savior declared he came to divide parent from child.
Our Christ was only stating exactly what is happening here. He knew that by our taking up this new way, we would risk rejection and hatred, even by those closest to us.
I've seen how Christians treat those who reject your bland new faith. They persecute them. They hound them out of town with mean treatment and false accusations.
You know that throughout history, every movement, no matter how righteous and big-hearted, has those who pervert its intentions and are horrible representatives of the true nature of what that movement is attempting to be. You know that there are misguided offshoots of your own beliefs, your old pagan religion's recognition of the beauty and variety of nature's mysteries. Your religion is not just kissing under mistletoe and singing by Yule logs. There are those who twist your lovely nature worship to include dark arts and even, God help us, human sacrifice.
I have nothing against the dark arts myself, and human sacrifice has its place in attaining power.
Surely you don't mean that. Hear me, daughter. All I know is, as the king grew in his faith, he became more loving, more accepting of differences, not rejecting and narrow. He realized we're not perfect, but fallible human beings searching for understanding. He realized nobility is not interested in grabbing more power, a greed for wealth and privilege, the mean-spirited selfishness that you wanted for him. He pitied those less fortunate and truly cared for those in his kingdom, especially those less fortunate. And I am doubly pleased the princess seems to be growing in her faith.
What princess? The king, my son, has a daughter? I have a granddaughter? You have stolen my son from me, and now you will corrupt my granddaughter?
Never mind that. Back to the subject at hand. We were discussing your son, my grandson, the king.
Once he looked at me with eyes that would sparkle like the stars at night or an onyx marble.
out, a storm of constant strife. He'll be mine at last, your influence past. Wipe their grin, I swear I will win. So here's to there's no holding sign. Twisted bitter brine. Once he was mine. Thank God it's the day of All Saints.
By the gods, you'll never live to see another.
Soldiers enter and drag the grandmother out. Thunder and the pealing of the bell roll across the vast city of Prague as Dracomir stands, silhouetted by lightning, cackling that her plan has fallen into place. Act 1, Scene 3. We see the storyteller and the children back in the market.
Hello, children. Good to see you again. How about we get back to my story before that soldier comes along and chases me off again? Let's see, where was I?
Just start all over from the beginning.
Well, now, you do like my story, don't you? And this being the day after Christmas, the second of the 12 days of the celebration of our Savior's birth and the Feast of St. Stephen. I'm inclined to be generous. I wish I could give you all gold, my young friends, but the only treasure I have to share is my stories. Alas, I can only be your benefactor through words, so at least in words I can be charitable. Here then is my tale.
Act 1, Scene 4. We see the king looking out his castle bedroom window.
Now this is the tale the storyteller told the children. It was on the night of the day after Christmas, St. Stephen's Day. King Vaclav was gazing down from a window in his castle. The moon was full and it lit up the dark land. As far as he could see, the land was covered in deep snow, illuminated by the bright glow of the moon. It was one of those winter nights when there was no cloud cover to blanket in the earth's warmth, so the air was bitterly cold. The high mounds of snow were frosted with a glaze of ice that sparkled under the moon's silver fire. It was a beautiful, fearsome night, especially fearsome for those poor folks who didn't have the good fortune to live in a fine castle. The good king shivered, thinking of any of his people who might not have what they needed to stay warm on such a cold evening.
Snowflakes drifting down are beautiful, dangerous things. Sometimes the greatest risks slowly float on angel wings. Life can present herself in luminous gossamer gown. There is a bitter chance she will coolly turn you down. Beautiful, dangerous, times are far between and few. Beautiful, dangerous. Life is one and not the other, a tension between the two.
can sometimes tear asunder. Clouds that glow with silver lining can threaten with thunder. Snowflakes glistening drop like downy feathers, but rarely appear without an ominous weather. Beautiful, dangerous, times are far between and few. Beautiful, dangerous. Life is one and not the other, a tension between the two.
We see a man in ragged clothes shuffling through the snow in view of the king's high window.
Then King Vaclav saw the stooped figure of a man wading through the waist-drift deeps of snow. He was apparently a poor soul, for his clothes were ragged and his coat was thin, especially for such a frigid night. The bright light of the moon revealed him to be carrying some sticks. He looked as if he was looking for more wood, because every so often he would stop and break off a low-hanging branch or pull a stick that was protruding from the snow. Wood for the fireplace would be hard to find under the heavy snow.
Page Havel! Oh, Havel! Page Havel, come hence, my young friend. Why, this is a first. You answered my call without breaking anything.
The page stands up, and as he does, a goblet falls from his robe and breaks.
Well, almost. My bumbling friend, I am so sick of strutting about and signing documents and wasting time doing royal rituals, when what I really want to do is to improve the lives of my people in genuine ways. Tell me, my fine page, do you know who that poor soul might be?
Sire, he lives a good distance from here. About 3 miles. In the foothills of the mountains, deep in the forest.
How could we find his home? Is there a landmark nearby?
Why, yes, sire. His home is near the fountain of St. Agnes.
I know the area well.
But why do you ask, sire?
Daughter Vetilde and her dog Bohemia are listening intently behind a curtain.
Because you and I, good page, are going to pay him a visit tonight.
But sire, it is a frightful night for travel.
My young friend, travel is frightful for you anytime. But the longer you stand there protesting, the colder it gets, my young friend. Here is what we need. Go to the kitchen and get tonight's roast and some salted meat. Fetch me a casket of wine and a large load of pine logs to make a blazing hearth. You and I will see this poor soul and his family feast tonight on this winter picnic we bring. Hurry! The rude wind is weeping for us, and the snow is lamenting our absence. And dress warmly. We are in for an adventure fit for wild Vikings.
So my father goes off on another adventure without as much as inviting me. Why? Because I'm a girl. to say, play early games, don't be in the way. I'll break free. Metamorphosize into I will show the king a thing or two, but what to do? Get his grace to bid prejudice adieu. Finally through, a woman he's never seen standing before him. 'Cause I'm just a girl, what's more to say? Play girly games, don't be in the way. This butterfly will shed her cocoon. This song that I am will find its own tune. I'm just a girl, what more to say? Play girly games, don't get in the way. One day metamorphosize into transform into well, we'll show him Bohemia.
Act 1, Scene 5. The children are gathered around the storyteller when one interrupts.
I know this part. I've heard this before. This is my favorite part.
Hey, who's telling this story? Am I telling it or are you?
You tell it, but hurry up and get back to it.
All right, then. Let's see, where was I?
Act 1, Scene 6. You see the king and page trudging through the snow, a massive storm throwing wind and ice against them as they push forward. In the distance, two threatening figures veiled in shadow creep behind, followed by Princess Vetild.
Now the storyteller continued his tale, so king and page set forth from the warm castle into the wild night with heavy sacks of food and wood on their backs. The page followed after the king through the deep and drifting snow. The crunch of their footsteps into the crusty surface of the snow echoed in the silence of the night. They both stopped a time or two because they thought they heard the crunch of other footsteps behind them.
The assassins, cloaked in darkness, stepped closer.
Soon, even those sounds were lost to the racket of the swirling wind. The darkness of the woodlands seemed to be stalking the young man. Wind lashed out, sounding like wild beasts howling through the forest.
Vetild and Bohemia ambush the assassins. Bohemia tackles one of them and Vetild fires an arrow into the other, making him howl.
The chill of the night seemed to bite at him. The page imagined wolves following, watching them from the trees, waiting for their moment to lunge out.
Bohemia bounds out of the woods and jumps on the page, knocking him down. The page screams in fear, and Vetild runs out of the woods to call off the dog. The king appears angry at first, but then softens. He laughs and hugs his daughter.
My entourage is increasing, it would seem. Why are you here, daughter? Did the castle become too warm for you? Oh, I should have known my shadow wouldn't want to be left out if I were in danger. You amaze me, Vetild.
It is a good thing I followed, Father. You remember back in November when we found dear great-grandmother murdered along the forest way. We figured common highwaymen had robbed her as she traveled, but you warned me that travel is never safe in the forest after dark. You call me your shadow, but there were real shadows back there in the woodlands. Strange men were lurking behind you. They appeared to have your brother's coat of arms on their shields. Bo and I scared them off.
Well, they must not have been too much of a threat if they retreat from a girl and a mongrel dog. Although I am surprised the winter storm itself has not been scared off by your intimidating presence. Enough. Let us be on our way before we become statues of ice.
And they were not long on their way before the page fell quite a way behind. The page became fearful and cried out,
Sire, I'm afraid and exhausted trudging through this high snow. I'm sorry, sire, but I cannot go another step.
Now the king did not hear the page at first, but when he continued shouting,
Vetilde catches her father and turns him to look at the page.
the monarch stopped and turned to him. The king unwrapped the heavy scarf from around his mouth. Through the midst of the driven snow, by the light of the moon, the page could see the king smiling. The king's voice echoed across the clearing.
Mark my footsteps, good page. Walk exactly where I have walked. Be bold, and I promise you shall find the going easier, and the winter's rage will seem less threatening.
And the page reluctantly began again, seeking to catch up to his master. He carefully picked out the king's footprints in the snow. He had to stretch to reach the king's long stride. It didn't take long to realize that every crater made by his master gave off heat each time he stepped into it. The saintly king's footprints seemed to melt the snow right down to the sod. It was nothing short of miraculous. The page and daughter and dog soon were walking swiftly behind King Vaclav. The page even picked up the song the king was whistling as they tread ahead into the night.
The snow and wind seemed to die down as the king and his entourage approached the poor man's house. Act 1, Scene 7.
I am so sorry I have failed you, my love. I couldn't find enough wood for a decent fire, and I couldn't go out on this night any longer. I truly do not know what we are going to do.
Oh, God save us. Our son's so cold, and he won't last through this night, and our hunger's too much to bear.
I am so ashamed. All we have left is prayer.
They bow and begin to pray.
Before the page knew it, they had reached their destination. They had no trouble finding the poor man's small cottage by the edge of the deep forest. The king knocked heartily on the door. Slowly, the thin door swung open, assisted by a blast of wind. By dim candlelight and a pitiful fire in the hearth, they saw the man with a look of amazement on his face. And in a corner of the hut, a woman held a baby. The young lad was wailing a hoarse cry over the soft weeping of his mother. All were wearing thin clothes, and the shadow of desperation lined their features.
Good evening. Won't you invite your king in to dine with you tonight?
And the nod of the speechless peasant was all the king needed to usher himself, his daughter and her dog, and the page inside. And I said, the page!
I'm okay.
It was not long before a brilliant fire blazed in the fireplace, food was roasting nearby, and laughter, singing, and the comforting cooing of a baby, now wrapped in the king's enormous scarf, filled the home.
Soft and sweet and toasty cozy, royal fabric round, scent like spring, all rosy posy, deep sharing God's love within us, and storms in peace, but winter still fuss, warm and safe and smiles.
They stayed a good while, and when they bid the family good night, King Václav promised to send his personal physician to attend to the baby.
Act 1, Scene 8.
When the king and his entourage arrived back at the castle that same night, the king asked his daughter and the page to linger from retiring long enough for him to make a presentation. The page was tired, but no longer felt the least bit cold. He had a warm feeling in his heart as he remembered the poor family, of how terrified they had found him, and how happily hopeful they had left them.
I wish such good deed doing, such genuine benefit to the everyday lives of my people, was a regular expectation of the king's duties. I am tired from tonight's adventure, but I am more weary of the regal pomp and tedious trivialities of being king. I wish truly I could abdicate and do these missions of mercy every day, in secret, without an entourage. Unless, of course, it is an entourage as pleasant as this. Good page, I want you to remember this night.
Oh, I will, sire. I promise you that I will remember it for as long as I live.
Remember, friend, that those who bless the unfortunate will themselves be blessed.
I do feel blessed, sir.
As a token of your valiant companionship this night, I want you to have this.
The king removed a silver necklace from around his own neck and placed it over the head of the page. A large silver cross with a brilliant ruby jewel in the middle hung from the necklace. The page gazed in wonder at the jewelry around his neck. It shone brightly, and the red jewel in the middle seemed to capture light in its bright glow.
Good night, faithful friend. You are a fine companion for a righteous adventure. And as for you, my party-crashing daughter, I should punish you for coming out into that dangerous mission when I was so happy to think of you safe and warm in our fine abode, only to discover you were tagging along into the teeth of that winter whirlwind. But Princess Vetilde, you make me so proud with your independent leadership qualities, your assertive spirit, and your bold approach to life. To you, I give this. I pray that you use it only to dub knights into your service, or to decorate the wall of your child's future nursery. You too demand equal recognition, my wild and woolly wolf wannabe. Well, I have not forgotten your part, my royal mastiff mutt. To you I bestow this collar. Sir Bohemia, you are indeed a most royal, gallant canine, even if your armor is a bit shaggy. Well, no monarch has ever had a more ridiculous or more magnificent court to accompany him. I once was only selfish, self-centered to a fault. My life was but a dull meal without pep or salt. My heart was cold and hard as a lake is in dead winter. My sad soul in foul pain as flesh is with a splinter. Mark my footsteps and follow where I lead ye. Burn kindness and mercy where'er the good Lord leads ye. Listen up, my young ones, 'tis you I am addressing. Always stand with those oppressed, and never with those oppressing. Be prophetic for justice, the poor are always with us. Stand up for these poor souls, real heroes, make a good fuss. Speak up for those, the friendless, and as night fears the sun, the cruel will flee away, and God's work will be done. Mark my footsteps and follow where I lead ye. Press kindness and mercy where'er the good Lord leads thee. Listen up, ye young ones, 'tis you I am addressing. Always stand with those oppressed, and never with those oppressing. So follow my way, weary not in well-doing. Live life in compassion, Christ's peace be ensuing. Let love reign in your lives, answer bright heaven's call. Angels travel with you, and the gates of hell will fall. Mark my footsteps and follow where I lead ye. Grant kindness and mercy where'er the good Lord leads ye. Listen up, ye young ones, 'tis you I am addressing. Always stand with those oppressed, and never with those, never with those, never with those oppressing.
And then the king strode off to his room, whistling a fragment of the tune the page had heard earlier as they braved the fearful night together.
Act 2, Scene 1.
I'm so tired of being a klutz. I'm so sick of being a putz. Oh, good Lord, please make me stop being a bull in a china shop. I'm so tired of being a klutz. I'm so sick of being a putz. Oh, good Lord, please make me stop being a bull in a china shop. The king, it sure will sting when the crowns bling with dents I ding. And what is more, it's such a bore when stumbles galore make me hit the floor. I'm so tired of being a klutz. I'm so sick of being a putz. Oh, good Lord, please make me stop being a bull in a china shop. I'm the Duke of Appal, the jester of distress, the prince of pratfall, the monarch of the mess, the poor potentate of sad tragedy, naughty caliphate of calamity. I'm so tired of being a klutz. I'm so sick of being a putz. Oh, good Lord, please make me stop being a bull in a china shop. I'm the captain of the sad ship Gaff, a leaky, creaky craft swerving fore and aft. I guess you ask me why I'm always on my I'm so tired of being a klutz. I'm so sick of being a putz. Oh, good Lord, please make me stop being a bull in a china shop. I'm so tired of being a klutz. I'm so sick of being a putz. Oh, good Lord, please make me stop being a bull in a china shop. Being a bull in a china shop. Oh, good Lord, please make me stop.
The king is preparing to leave the castle and is discussing the dangers with the apprehensive Vetil.
Well, I have to admit, this is a pleasant surprise to have you accompanying us to church, my daughter.
I am accompanying you, but not to attend services. I fear for your life, Father. You know that your grandmother is determined to replace you with Uncle. I wouldn't rule out violence. I'm still not convinced your grandmother Ludmilla was murdered by some rogue bandit. Her death may be a part of this palace coup.
Surely I am safe within the sanctuary of the church.
Just in case, I am going. Armed.
Well, if you want to show off that fine work of art, that's fine. But I am not afraid. I was even thinking of leaving my guards here. The furnishings need more protection than I do.
Act 2, Scene 2. We see the king and Vetil walking up to a large white church. Rainbow light from inside the stained glass window is thrown out over the courtyard. Standing in the doorway of the church are the king's brother and mother. A group of rough-looking henchmen are standing below them on the steps of the church.
So the righteous usurper has come for Vespers. Have you come to confess to stealing the throne from your brother?
Brother? Mother? Have you seen the light and been converted?
I told you this was unwise, Father. Let us leave here.
It will be a cold day in hell when I am prevented from worshiping Almighty God by this pagan rabble and their misguided would-be leader. Get out of my way, brother.
The brother and the henchmen draw their swords and begin to advance. Vetil steps in front of her father and draws her sword. Mother Dracomira begins slowly walking down the steps.
Wait, is this my granddaughter, the one I've never met, the one who has been kept from me?
We've never met, but I've heard much about you, grandmother.
None of it good, I surmise. All lies about me from this so-called son of mine and his horrible goody-two-shoes grandmother, my former mother-in-law. Come away with me, granddaughter, and let us get to know each other. You'll see we have much in common. Both of us, I suspect, neglected and unappreciated by my son.
Leave now and take Uncle with you, and we will arrange a meeting in order to get to know each other. But stand down or you'll have nothing but trouble from me, ma'am.
Ah, I see they have corrupted you. Out of our way, girl, or you'll end up like your meddling Ludmilla.
Vetil recoils in shock and then rage as she comprehends that Dracomira was instrumental in murdering her beloved great-grandmother.
You had something to do with sweet great-grandmother's death! You witch! You wicked murderer!
In quick succession, Dracomira steps forward with a raised dagger to attack the daughter. The daughter stabs Dracomira in self-defense. The henchmen attack the king, and dying, he stumbles into the light inside the church. The brother grabs and disarms the daughter.
Father!
For a brief moment, everything seems to freeze as a wild howl echoes through the courtyard, as Bohemia sprints in and knocks the brother to the ground, freeing Vetil. The page comes running in with sword raised, but trips and with sword flying across the courtyard, stumbles into the henchmen, knocking them over. The doctor picks up her precious sword and pulls up Page Havel, and they and the dog Bo run away as the brother and his henchmen struggle to get up. The evil brother struggles up to let fly an arrow that flies through the castle and hits Bohemia in the side. Act 1, Scene 3. We look back to the children still gathered around the storyteller as he trails off and looks down in sadness. He silently sits until one of the children says,
But King Backlov isn't our king right now. What happened to him? Please tell us. We've got to know.
Children, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but King Vaclav was murdered that night by his own brother. And his brother became the king in his place. That is why I do not like this king of ours.
The young soldier walks up behind the group.
Old man, you were told to leave.
Alyosht!
Oh, hello, old friend Havel. You really should be moving back before the captain comes back.
I guess you're right. Children, until another day, I bid you goodbye.
He stands and makes a big sweeping bow such as an actor on a stage might make. When he does, a beautiful silver cross necklace slides out from under his tunic with a large red jewel in the middle.
That's just like the cross necklace the king gave to his page in your story.
That's because he was that page. Children, allow me to introduce you to Havel, page to the good King Vaclav. He was, however, younger then.
You were a lot younger also.
Oh, yes. Children, do you remember the baby rescued by King and the page in his story? I was that baby. If it had not been for the good king, bless him, Princess Vatil, and Page Havel here, I would not be here. I surely would have died on that horribly cold night. Thank God for that.
That is a handsome scarf you wear there, soldier. One fit for a king.
Interestingly, that is exactly where I got it. It was King Vaclav's scarf, the one he gave to wrap me in on that cold night so long ago.
Trying to leave me out of the fun again, Havel.
Can it really be you? Princess Vatil? But it is dangerous for you to be here. Your uncle seeks your life. There's a bounty on your head.
You think I fear him? I have faced a winter blizzard and lived to tell the tale. Besides, I have this. And any scum he sends against me will feel it tickle them into the next world.
Princess, whatever happened to your dog Bohemia?
Much to my sorrow, he perished with the good king that cursed evening. But I gave him a secret royal burial near my father's grave. And, in a sense, he is still with us, of course. He left something behind. We think these are Beau's grandpuppies. Merry Christmas, children. I hope you will remember the good king while playing with your furry new friends.
Thank you. Here comes that mean soldier again.
I thought I told you to clear out.
I was just chasing him along, sir.
You look like you're enjoying it a little too much.
I always take pleasure in clearing the streets of such riffraff. He is only still here because I was telling him and his lots of ragamuffins all the punishments I'd give them if they didn't move along.
That, little excessive, but good work. Carry on, soldier.
I'll escort him out of the market to make sure he leaves. All right, you. Let's move back. And the rest of you, move along now. God bless you all. Merry Christmas.
The children exit, the young soldier Aliosh and storyteller Havel begin walking away, joined again by the princess.
What's left when all is lost? Like silence after prayer. can come at awful cost, but change the world out there. So with hope we'll go, wandering steps and slow. Go with God, good friends, moving round every bend. Broken hearts will one day mend.
With sadder, wiser minds, blessed be the tie that binds our hearts and steel like love, iron will and velvet glove.
Weave this happy few, blessed but shattered crew, shine like morning dew, with precious memories true. So with hope we'll go, wandering steps and slow. Go with God, good friends, find grace round every bend. Broken hearts will one day mend.
The past is prologue to some better ones.
Let justice glow like gleams from gems above.
Together three, yes, one will be, loyal, still and true, one holy family.
Let's stand when others fall.
We'll fly when some may crawl.
To fight and not to yield, with faith a solid shield. So with hope we'll go, wandering steps and slow. Go with God, good friends, find grace round every bend. Broken hearts will one day mend. Broken hearts will one day mend. I miss my work in the castle, and I miss King Vaclav. I miss the way our kingdom was when he reigned.
I understand, but we must not pine for what is gone. King Vaclav lives on in our hearts and in your stories to the next generation.
That's true, but I will do what I can to keep his spirit alive. My stories are my stand against this king and his wicked ways. Perhaps the children will come to see that power is not reserved for kings alone. There's real power in simple kindness.
Goodbye, friends. I must go back. May you continue to mark the good king's footsteps by telling his story. You remain safe, my future queen. I will long for the day I can serve you.
God bless you, friend. May you continue to hold back the excesses of this false king. Take care.
Goodbye, faithful knights of the true king. Maybe one day you will have a monarch worthy enough of your good service.
Snow begins to fall. The storyteller Havel and Princess Vetild wave goodbye to the soldier as he leaves.
What a wonderful surprise to see you, princess. I pray that I live to see the day when you are crowned Queen Vetild.
Should that day ever come, you will be the one I want to place the crown on my head. If you promise not to drop it and break it, of course. But I have an even greater surprise for you, dear Havel.
Out from the shadows comes a stooped figure in a hooded cape that covers his face. He removes the hood to reveal it is King Václav himself. He leans on a cane from his wounds.
But we thought you were dead. I visited your grave. How can this be?
In truth, I thought I was dead. After the attack at the church, I was gravely wounded. The priest of the church hid me and nursed me back to health in a long healing process.
Other than the priest, I was the only one who knew that my father had survived the assassination attempt. We conspired to bury a poor pauper who had died in the priest's care in the place of the king. That is the grave you have visited.
I'm sorry we have not revealed this to you, my grieving friend. But the risk was far too great. The fewer people that knew I was alive, the better.
It was worth the grief for the unmitigated joy of knowing you're still alive, sire.
You know that I never really wanted to be king. My desire was to serve God by helping the poor. And as we did that night so long ago, that is what I have been doing since recovering, only in secret. I find joy in doing this, even as I am sad at my people being governed by the bad ruler my brother has been.
I would serve you still, sire. May I join you now in your crusade of compassion?
As a matter of fact, that is why I am revealing myself to you at this time. My wounds, though healed, continue to slow me down, and in my attempts to do more good, I am burdened by my diminished state. Veitild is a wonderful partner, but the needs of the poor are increasing under my brother's oppressive reign, and we could use more help. I remember that we can be quite the formidable team. Would you indeed be willing to assist us?
Oh, it would fulfill my fondest wish to be in your service again in such a righteous undertaking.
I must warn you, there is great danger in it. You will be risking your very life.
Then risk it I will.
And it will be especially risky if you are still as clumsy as I remember when you were younger.
Go home now, tell no one, and we will call upon you soon for our next mission of mercy.
The storyteller watches them depart and stands for a moment with the snow falling. He looks up, catching a flake or two in his hands, and begins to hum as he walks away.
As Havel, the former page, now storyteller, made his way along, he hummed the song we heard King Václav singing cheerfully on that winter night long ago. Big flakes of snow began falling heavily and sticking to the earth. He laughed out loud with joy in knowing the king yet lived, and he smiled as he found himself thinking about serving with King Václav and Princess Veitild in helping those in need once again. He even amused himself by pretending to look for the good king's warm, illuminated footsteps to guide his way home.
Okay.
now turn in your hymnals to the Good King Wenceslas hymn. We ask that you join and sing along with us.
Fill out your forms and join us for refreshments back in the back.
Yes.